Okay, got it. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our first quarter Ward F Town Hall where we discuss everything Ward F. Just by a way of housekeeping, I'm asking everyone that's online, everyone that's in the audience, to please go to our website, subscribe to our website. That way you can see everything that's going on in the ward. And because I'm such a workaholic, I've took the liberty to send subscriptions to the individuals whom I had their email because I know you guys work really hard. So I figure if I just gave you a task of just pressing a button to say subscribe, that would be better for you. So if I have your email, I would do that for you. But I would really prefer if you did it yourself, familiarize yourself with the site because all of the information is there and at your disposal. And then subsequently, you can help your neighbors because I'm of the opinion that if everyone do a little, no one have to do a lot. So with that being said, we do have a bunch of things on agenda that we want to talk about. We want to be very cognizant of time. And thank you to all the presenters that's here, that's going to be talking to the ward. And I think, are we going to do we want to do Steve first? Because Sharon is not here. Steve, yes. So Steve Lipsky will come up here and discuss with you guys what he have planned and how it will affect you.
Thank you, Councilman, and it's great to be here. It's good to see a number of familiar faces. So my name's Steve Lipsky. I'm a former councilman, Planning Board, Jersey City, and currently the producer of the Jersey City Marathon, Half Marathon, which we have scheduled to go on this Sunday, April 14th. So last year was our inaugural run. We had upward of 6,000 signees, registrants. We had 5,500 of them pick up a bib to run the race, but because there was lightning and a monsoon of a rainfall, only 4,800 ran. But they ran, they completed it. We had 2 marriage proposals on the course. They were both accepted, I'm proud to say. Councilman Gilmore got in there and he got his run on and was live streaming it throughout Jersey City. Let's give him a big round of applause. We had a male and a female qualify for the United States Olympic trials. And as a result, because of that and a number of other people who qualified for the Boston Marathon, we're considered the 37th fastest marathon in the United States of America. So 2 other things on that is that last year we had runners come from 27 different countries and 38 states from within the United States of America. This year we have runners from 29 different countries and 43 states within the United States of America. I'm going to look at the 7 states that are not represented, reach out to their governors, travel to their state, and see if we can get all 50 going forward. So that being said, let me say this, is that Councilman was spot on in his live stream and saying is that for those of us who are runners and those who are supporting runners, it's a great event. If you are tasked with trying to find a parking spot along the route that weekend, it's a little more complicated. Excuse me? Leaving your house too, right. It can be daunting. We've worked with the Jersey City Public Schools. They are giving us 10 schools to allow us their parking facilities. The medical center, which is really close to here, but up a little further north of here, they're giving us their medical office building with upward of 150 spots. The City of Jersey City, City Hall, and its adjacent parking lot across the street, they're going to allow us to park in there as well. So for the race starts at 7, it'll get down here. The fastest runners will be down here along Garfield. They'll be on Caven Point Road down to Linden East, come across Linden East to Princeton, down Princeton to Neptune, make a right onto Neptune, and up Garfield. It'll probably be about mile 9 when it gets to Garfield and around here. So that, for the fastest runners, it'll be about 7:45 a.m. The slower runners, it'll probably be closer to 9:30. So you can figure that would be the highest impact. We're working with JCPD's Finest to allow points where cars could drip through the race. We've sent a copy of the map as well as a drip feed with the councilman's office and getting the word out, inviting me to come. I'll give you my email before I leave, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. This year, let me just say also, last year we registered 6,000 runners. This year we're over 7,000. We're going to probably get to 7,500, as I mentioned, from 29 states and 29 countries in 43 states. Every single hotel in Jersey City was filled. All the parking lots were filled. A number of eateries, restaurants, bars, lounges were doing a lot of business. So it does bring Jersey City a lot of notoriety. It does expose our great city. And I have to say is that when I saw them, the first people coming through the winners, they couldn't say enough good things about the support, even in the pouring rain. Our lead runner finished like in 2 hours and 17 minutes. And that gentleman was like saying, wow, along the course, the outpouring of support from the residents was great. This year, I think it's going to be better. We've partnered with the Hudson County Chamber of Commerce, Hudson Pride, Partners in Prevention, a number of groups. So we think it's only going to grow, get bigger, and we look forward to cooperating with the councilman. Also, the mayor is running it, and the business administrator, John Metro, is running the race this year. So, so come on out, cheer, and if there's any questions, I'll take them at this point. Yes, the starting point is on Washington Boulevard, close to Staples. It'll be like right by the north garage entrance, and it'll go down Washington to Columbus to Grove, Marin up to 6th, 6th to Grove, Grove down to Grand, Grand down to Pacific, down Pacific, turn around on Pacific. Is going to go all the way down to Cave and Point Avenue, turn around, come to Johnston, come down to Jersey and Phillips Road, then it'll make the right, come down Phillips to Cave and Point Road, down Cave and Point Road, all the way down to Linden East, Princeton, Newport, up Garfield to Grant, back down Grant, where you can see New York City, and then down back to Washington. That's the first loop. Now there's 2 loops. The second loop for the marathoners, that will probably, this vicinity will be about mile 19 and 20. So you could expect those runners down here probably around anywhere between 8:20 and then all the way up to about 11 o'clock for the slower runners. And again, at that point, the race thins out and we'll be able to get cars through. For pedestrians, it should be no problem. It's the cars that become a problem because of the liability and the safety. Any other questions? Anybody want to run? We'll comp you. No? Come on, Councilman's getting in. He said he can't keep up with the young bucks, but he's still doing it. Look at him, he's all beefed up. No other questions? Look, we can't thank you enough. We can't thank Councilman Gilmore. Let me say this, is I live up in Journal Square. I live here, I'm born and raised in Jersey City, went to Dickinson. I know a good representative, and Councilman Gilmore is that. Even though I don't live in this area, I've come to his meetings before. He gets out the word. He has meetings like this. He's very informed. He's straightforward, and he's a runner. So God bless. All right. One last thing. Even though I love this guy and I'd love to stay, also joining us this year is Miss New Jersey. So I'm going to meet her now because she's going to take a tour where we're going to have the expo. We're having the expo that Friday and Saturday. If you want to come meet Miss New Jersey, her stories are almost as good as Councilman Gilmore's. Thank you. God bless.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And the reason why I wanted Steve to come here is because last year, a lot of people felt like they didn't get notice and then they didn't get sufficient notice. So I thought it would be fitting while we're in a planning phase to advise as many people as possible, because I'm a runner and I love it and I support it, but I understand that people need to go to the grocery store. People need to pick up their kids. People need to drop their kids off. It's the weekend. They want to relax. We understand all that. So we wanted to make sure that we were getting the information out to you guys so you can plan accordingly. So with that being said, thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it. Hold on. Do anyone on the Zoom have any questions for Steve as it relates to the marathon? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Steve. And next, yes, we're gonna go to Health and Human Services. Typically, y'all, just a FYI, you guys had donuts and coffee this meeting. I would much rather fruit and water. So just take note, the next meeting, we're gonna have a lot more fruit and water. Want to make sure we keep people healthy and keep them around for a long time. So with that being said, we'll segue right into Health and Human Services. Ms. Linda, are you going to be presenting or share? Okay. Yes. Sharon is going to be present. Sharon is the what is it? The health aide, right? I mean, excuse me, the health educator for Ward F. Do you need time to unwind, Sharon? Are you good? She good? Okay, come on, young lady. This is a great turnout, so I just really want to take this time to thank everyone for coming out. This is really nice. The room is filled in online, and a lot of people are going to watch it when they come from work. So this is what it's about, making sure we get the word out to get the voices from the constituents.
I'm just going to do introduction real quick.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to introduce myself briefly. My name is Linda Ivory Green, and I am the Director for the Division of Community Health and Wellness with the Department of Health and Human Services here in Jersey City. And yeah, next time we're going to have some water. Water, did he say? And some fruit. And we're going to get away from the donuts and everything. But anyway, I'm only joking. Whatever works. But I'm going to say I have a division of public health educators, and my health educators are assigned to each ward of the city, and they speak multiple languages. So the health educator for Ward F is Miss Sharon Charles. I have health educators that speak Arabic, that speak Spanish, that speak Creole, and we do provide health education for the entire city of Jersey City. We've been doing this for several years. I am, well, first of all, I've been with the department for 28 years. But Sharon is the Ward F health educator. She is your health advocate for Ward F. She is the resource. We provide health education at all the schools. We are in the senior buildings. We are at the faith-based organizations. We are in churches providing workshops. And yes, thank you. What we did today, this evening, we brought out the COVID self-test kits. We brought out information from the department on WIC. We brought information from our city clinic so that if you need to know the hours of operation. So all of that information is on the table. We brought our upcoming events, and Sharon will share some of that information with you. Some of our huge events that we are working on, like our Opioid Awareness Day is coming up, and that's on May 10th. She'll go into further information about that, but there's flyers on the table, so you can share that information, please, with the community. We have our women's wellness event that we're partnering with the Bethune Center, and we're going to be talking about some Black maternal child health issues and racial disparities that are happening with our women. And so we're having a roundtable discussion on that, and that will be on May 2nd. So that information is also at the table. And so these are some of our larger events that we will be sharing with you. But like I said, Sharon is the health educator for Ward F. We do workshops on bullying, hygiene. We just got off of a call with 15 school. We'll be going in there and providing some education. We just talked to 24, 41, 40. I'm gonna give it over to Sharon. But like I said, we provide education throughout Jersey City. We've been doing this for years. I started 28 years ago as the health educator for Jersey City. Born and raised here. So we truly, my educators are invested in the community. They speak the languages of the community in which they serve. And we are here to provide information, to share information, to empower and educate. So that is why we are here. And truly, I'm going to turn it over now and I'm going to be quiet. Okay? Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, food pantry list. We also have information on food pantries. Oh, yes. The COVID self-test kits have an expiration date, but there is the QR code. The expiration dates have been extended. So if you look at the QR code, if you scan that, it will give you the new expiration dates. Thank you. Oh, I certainly can. Linda Ivory Green. And I'm the director for the Division of Community Health and Wellness. Okay? Oh, and our office is right there at the City Hall Annex, right there at 1 Jackson Square. Okay? Right by Extra. Let me just say, Jackson Avenue for those. Okay? 360 Martin Luther King Drive. But for the old timers, Jackson Avenue, Jackson Avenue. Okay.
That was a very short introduction by my boss. What else? What can I say? My name is Sharon Charles. I'm the health educator for Ward F. What we do, like, I don't want to repeat what she said, but yes, we do workshops in school. Today I had a lot of meeting. I'm a bit tired right now. Thank you. Had a lot of meeting with some schools today, putting on hygiene workshop, cyberbullying, bullying. So these are the things that we do. I love it. I'm very passionate about it. I love being in here. I'm originally from the islands, grew up in Brooklyn, and being around here, if this is where I live, I want to see my community prosper. And so that's why I give it my all. I love it. So if you have any questions, if you would like for me to come into your school, or your kid's school, or your workplace, we do a lot of workshops as it pertains to your health. So I have my business card. If you're interested, let me know. Thank you, guys.
Oh, questions. Hold on, they have questions. Questions? Anyone have questions in person or online? This young lady. Yes.
Let me give it to her.
I'm not sure if anyone's in my position, but I have an issue with my health insurance with AmeriHealth, which is also part of Get Cover. They're not issuing our refund checks, and I've been doing this for a year, and this is my issue. I don't know what's going on, and I keep calling. They keep giving me the business, and I'm not just the only one that's in this position, and they will refuse to give us our refund checks because we didn't use up all our health insurance. So I switched insurance companies. So that's my issue.
Well, if you can, send me an email. I'll see how I can help you as best I can. Is that a state program? Sounds like a, yeah.
It is health insurance.
Okay.
You don't use up all your full benefits, you get a refund.
They give you the refund back.
But if you do, they don't, of course. But I've been asking for a year, and they keep telling them to send a mail, and they refuse to send it. And I found I'm not the only one. They do it in the scene. They're doing it in the scene. They refuse to send out. They give you. I've been doing this for a year this month, and they won't send out our refund.
Okay. If we could get her information or give her a card, we'll see if we can help her out. Anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns as it relates to the health education online or in person? I'm seeing none. What we're going to do is we're going to allow the presenters for the Boswick Ave project to come up and give a presentation. And then we'll take questions, comments, concerns. After that, then we'll follow up with landlord-tenant relationships, and then we'll finish up with Captain Odrewski at the West District for all public safety issues. Cover this, yes, all public safety issues.
Thank you, Councilman. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bianca Paredes, and I'm an attorney with an offices right next door in Union City. Thank you for having me here this evening. It's always a great pleasure to be here in town. I actually went to high school in Jersey City, so I have some of my fondest memories here. So always an absolute honor to be back. I represent the owner of property at 13-17 Boswick Avenue, Mr. Frank Hernandez, who's here this evening as well to introduce himself to the community. I'm sure you all know, this property has a building that's been vacant for many years. My client acquired the property back in 2019. It was previously owned and operated by a small congregation, but it's been vacant for way too long. So the application that's here this evening is our presentation to revitalize this specific property. We're looking to add some residences and finally bring some life to this building. We have an expert, or the architect, who prepared the drawings, and I'd like to introduce him to you all this evening. This is Mr. Manuel Paredes.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Like Bianca, I grew up in neighboring Union City and also went to high school here in Jersey City. So this is very much feels like home as well. As an architect, when we work in the community, we very much feel like part of the community. My favorite architectural quote is, "We form our buildings and thereafter they form us." So meetings like this are critically important because we want your input. We want to make sure that it's a building that fits and works well with the community. And we have taken a long time and a lot of care in order to do that. Like Council said, we started back in 2019. So there have been about 8 different versions of these drawings until we got to you here. So we've really worked hard on it. And I'd like to walk you through the building and introduce you to what we've been working on. First and foremost, the lot is 75 wide and 100 deep. So, and I'm gonna walk over to my drawings and then, oh, the mic works with me, great.
Can we roll this?
Let's put it over here. Thank you. Okay. So this is a lot. It's 13-17 Boswick. It's 75 wide, 100 deep. And right now you have a building that occupies the entire left side of the lot. It sits on the property line on the front. It sits on the property line on the left. It sits on the property line on the right. And the whole right side of it is completely filled with asphalt. So one of the very, very important things that we do as architects for the community is we try to create green space, open space where the water can enter the ground and go back into our aquifer and really create green open spaces. So when we designed this building, we made sure we provided open space. So on the left, you see the existing building and lot that covers everything. And on the right, you see what we propose. Very importantly, we're creating a rear yard that wasn't there before. So the whole 20 feet of the back of the property is now going to be a rear yard open to the air. So that's a huge, huge improvement for the community. On the sides of the property, we're separating the building 4 feet from one side, whereas it used to be 0. And on the right-hand side, we're stepping in it 3 feet. And in the front, we're stepping the building back 5 feet. Why? Very important, because we want to introduce as much landscaping and greenery as possible. It's the old church, yeah. Yeah. What I'm skipping through now are a lot of technical drawings. They have to do with stormwater management, how we connect to sewer, and things that also improve the neighborhood. Yes.
Yes, there.
Right here to my right, we have the ground floor of the building. As you can see, the entire front of the building, we have 5 feet of landscaping across the entire thing. So that's going to really beautify Boswick Avenue, have some beautiful plants and landscaping there. The primary entrance of the building will be along the corner. where you're gonna walk into a nice lobby. That lobby has its own mailroom because we know now with Amazon and packages, it's important to have a mailroom. There's so many packages left on the stoop. We're providing a room for that with lockers so that the packages go there. We have our mechanical systems on one side. We have a trash room on the right that has access directly to the outside, so trash can be taken out and hidden away so that it doesn't bother the neighborhood. And on that floor, we have 4 apartments. There's two bedrooms along the back, a 2-bedroom on the front left corner, and a studio apartment in the middle. The floor above has 5 apartments in total. Again, we have 2-bedroom, and then the other corners are 2 bedrooms, and the middle is a studio apartment. So we have 5 apartments on that floor as well. And the apartments are all laid out in a very contemporary way. It's what we call an open floor plan. So you enter into the room, and it's an open living room, kitchen, dining room area, and they're nice sized apartments. This one is 1,040 square feet. And it has a 2-bedroom. The bedroom it has a master bedroom with a bathroom and walk-in closet, and then a secondary room along the back. And then the studio apartment is the smallest of all the units. It's 545 square feet. So we have a diversity of having studios and 2-bedroom apartments. And then this floor is copied exactly the same on the 3rd floor. And we wanted to keep this building at a 3-story height because it made sense in the neighborhood. It fit with the scale of the neighborhood. It's not taller, it's not a big tall building. It fits with the height of all the buildings along the neighborhood. The roof, we're proposing that both stairs go up to the roof so that there's a roof deck. We made sure that roof deck is stepped into the building. So there's a setback of almost 18 feet along the front, in addition to the 5-foot setback in the front of the building. There's 16 feet and a half in the back, in addition to the 20 feet of rear yard. And on the sides, we have 8 feet on each side. That means that when there's people on the roof, you're not seeing them from the street. It's hidden away, so if there's people gathering there, it's not going to create noise pollution. It's not going to create a visual pollution for the neighborhood. It's stepped in and hidden away behind the parapet walls. The rest of the roof is a green roof and the mechanical systems along the back. So we're introducing the green roof, which is critically important, again, for the neighborhood. It's a green aspect, very sustainable. And now the elevation of the building. Again, we took very great care into this. We're providing 3 different materials so that there's a diversity of materials on the facade of the building. And what we do is we break up the facade so it feels like it's a good scale with the neighborhood. So as you're looking down the streetscape, you'll have smaller houses and the larger buildings and everything. And this kind of blends everything together. You have the warehouse building to the left of it. You have smaller houses to the right of it. This works with it, creating this rhythm of the building. And we have fiber cement panels, we have wood ribbed panels in this area here. And it really just creates a beautiful, very attractive building that in scale fits into the neighborhood very well. And that concludes my presentation and testimony. We have the other sides of the buildings, and I love your input and I love questions and be happy to help you out.
So we're gonna ask, I'm gonna give you the mic, Ms. Laverne. We're gonna ask if you have any questions to come up to the mic so that everybody can hear your question. And then Manny will respond to the question. So.
14.
14, any of them affordable?
We're gonna comply with whatever affordability requirements there are in the city. I think there's going to be some requirements, and we'll comply. I'll be happy to.
Give you the mic.
So there were 2 questions. Question number 1 was how many units? It's 14 units in total. We have 4 on the ground floor, 5 on the second, and 5 on the third. And the second question was, are any of these units affordable? And my response is simply, we're going to comply with whatever affordability requirements the city is going to have, which I believe there will be some on this property.
Yes, can you guys come up here? If anybody has a question, feel free to stand in line right here.
My name is Dania Garcia. So we have a group of local contractors, and Councilman knows that Jerry Walker's Local Local has an apprenticeship program, and what we urge all people coming into the neighborhood, that they would give first choice to local contractors that are licensed. I have a group. I'm also a licensed contractor, and I have a group. As Councilman knows, we've been working hard to get everyone connected with them. It's good for you and the owner because you'll have local people. We're also working with Jerry Walker to put some young people to work, and I'm committed to that. I'm from Ward F, I'm from Clerk Street, born and raised here. So my commitment to this area is not only for myself to get contracts, but to also put people to work. And so far, none of the local contractors or owners have committed to anyone doing work. There's a lot of construction work locally, but no one from Jersey City is working on it. So if you could help us out with that, that would be great.
You're going to love what I'm about to say, because the owner of the property is a local contractor with local workforce. So it's fantastic, and we'll be very happy to tie in with you and see if we could get some more people locally. So it's a fantastic thing.
My question is pretty much is gonna be regarding to help the residents that's in this area. So, of course, there was rules of engagement for the construction, and we're asking, would you be willing to follow those attached rules of engagement for construction? And that's pretty much as far as the parking, the extended permits, that type of thing.
This is from where?
Oh, no. Those are the rules. Yeah, downtown navigation. Oh, she's just asking. Yeah, from DCNA.
Oh.
Put together by DCNA originally.
Yeah, absolutely. We comply with that on all projects. We'd actually be forced to comply with it. So absolutely.
Hi. What community give backs, if any, is the developer offering?
Community give backs? Nothing other than improving the site that's dilapidated, providing landscaping on the site where it's not required, providing a green roof, providing open air and open space. I feel those are all important give backs.
It's not a variance. It's not a variance, right? You're not, it's zoned residential. I'm sorry.
Okay, so yes, how is it zoned right now? What variances are you asking for regarding, because sometimes certain developments require a community give back because of a zoning variance. So I'll start with that and then we'll go from there.
So we are requesting several variances, including the variance for use. There's no additional give back that's required based on what we're proposing. It's not a large development. This is very small scale. It's 14 units. If we were to create a park somewhere, it would not be.
That was one. The other one was about affordability. So are you going off of AMI for the neighborhood? Are you going off of federal poverty level? How are you calculating what the affordable units might go for?
That's above my pay grade. Okay. And honestly, we don't know. We don't know how the market's going to be. We don't know how the building is.
So in that case, I live in another part of the ward. Hi, I'm Rebecca. Can we ask for the team to come back at a future meeting when things are further along to get a sense of that?
Jersey City actually has a division on affordable housing, and we're working with them, but we're still early in that process, but absolutely.
It's a process. Thank you.
And one thing that we tend to always do in our developments is we'd love to invite the community there as well. So when the building's further along enough in construction, we can have a small gathering there.
Two-part, if you don't mind. You did say you skipped over the sewage plan. This neighborhood has an issue, right, with sewage overflow and capacity, and adding more units adds more demand to that. Can you talk a little bit about that, just in terms of what you put in place to help with that issue?
Absolutely, it's so critically important today. We have one of the oldest sewer. Our infrastructure is one of the oldest in the entire country. I can be loud, I think.
Yes, please.
So the MUA has very strict guidelines and they review it. So we have an engineer on staff that handles stormwater calculations on it. And we're going to provide there's several methods, but two basic methods. One is stormwater management. So we're going to have large 3-foot pipes underground that's going to hold that. And then the green roof is also somewhat of a blue roof because it's going to hold water back as well. So those two things are going to reduce or slow down the impact on the sewer system, which makes a big difference. And there's 0% runoff. So any water that falls on the site is going to stay on the site.
Awesome, thank you. And my other question is around. My other question is.
Sure, that's why.
Hello, yeah, there we go, wow. My other question is about the kind of the construction timeline, right? So, and the planning timeline. So do you know yet when you're gonna be meeting with the planning boards, when you might plan to start construction? And if so, then how long will the construction be in terms of the impact on the community and all that?
So we have been working with Jersey State Planning for over 4 years now. So we've been in constant communication with them. We are going before the board, hasn't been given to us yet. We're not on the agenda. I hope, and the owner is sweating back there. He's very desperate to go before the board, but we're still waiting on them to give us a date. Once we go before the board, and considering if we hopefully get approved, there is a small time period where we're waiting for our resolution. In that time period, I start working on what we call construction documents to put everything together. That's usually going to take about 2 months. Then we submit to Jersey City for permits. Right now, Jersey City is a little backed up, so permits take about 1.5 to 2 months as well. Then we get the permits, then we break ground. And this is about a 1-year project. I hope it could be done in 11 months, but we budget 1 year. So you're really talking about 18 months from now that those are going to be finished.
Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation. My question was really about the environmental sustainability portion of your shorter presentation on the green roof, et cetera. There's a lot of opportunity to use the space you've allocated in the rear of the building as well as on the roof for things like the within building community garden or some other purpose for that community that benefits them more than some plant sitting on the roof, right? So generating food or absorbing wastewaters, et cetera. And have you ever considered any gray water collection that can then be used for things like flushing toilets, et cetera? Are you making any plans for that?
That's such an excellent question. So my role as the architect is very often to create a space that's accessible to these items. So that's why we have a 20-foot rear yard here and we're presenting, so that we can have things like community gardens, so that we can have beehives and different aspects of that for the community, as well as the rooftop space. So we're creating an infrastructure, but really we're passing the baton on to the tenants to hopefully continue that. There will be a solar component to this, a very small solar component because we have more of a green roof and we need to keep that open to the sky. But on top of our stair bulkheads, we have a solar component. There's no real gray water management right now. It's cumbersome right now for a building of this scale. When you have a larger building, it's a little bit more accessible. But for a building, when you were talking about 14 units, only 3 stories, it's a little cumbersome and it takes up real estate that we don't have right now. So that we're not really planning on.
But in the plan that you provided, you are including the weight of the need for a garden on the roof, for example. Yes. So the weight load and the tolerance is being planned. Okay.
So it is a green roof, so it totally contemplates the structural requirements for a garden for water absorption and containment. So yes.
In the timeline for the project, how long, once you get through the process and approvals and all that, there's a building that needs to be demolished?
There is.
And how long, so how long will that process take? How long will it then go into the next phase of preparing it, infrastructure, and then building the structure? How long will the community be interrupted by?
So we try to time things and put them together so that the community isn't disrupted for a longer period of time. So a lot of developers, they come in, the first thing they do is demolish. That's not the approach we're going to take. As you know, the building's still there. So once we have our permits to construct, we will also have our permits to demolish. So demolition happens, construction starts immediately. Time of demolition for a building of that, you'd be surprised, it's actually very short. It's probably going to be less than 2 weeks to demolish that fully and get that out, because it is for the most part, a hollow building. There's not a lot of interior walls. There's not kitchens. There aren't many bathrooms. It's a hollow building, so it will be a kind of a quick process. So it's probably about 2 weeks demolition, and then we go into construction.
Any hazardous materials in the existing building?
So part of the building department is very thorough in Jersey City. They have a checklist for everything that when you're going to go to demolition. So we're going to do a study by an environmental company that's going to survey the entire building. So they look for things like lead paint. They look for things like asbestos. Asbestos is found in so many things. It's found in tiles. It's found on roof shingles. It's found on siding. So they survey all of that. If something is identified and found, that has to be abated before the demolition happens, and that will happen in sequence prior to the actual demolition. So it's very much, the guidelines are very strict, and they're very clearly adhered and policed.
Hi, I have a question. I know you said you don't know exactly how many units or what is I don't know, the city have a percentage, and I'm mistaken, it's 15%. So I think this building is going to have about 2 units that are going to be affordable. Something that I haven't seen often whenever we have a developer is that they don't work with the community directly to find out who are going to be those families that are going to be getting the benefit to live in that property. I think it would be good for you, if you haven't find out how it is, to work maybe with the council person here in the area, so he can identify those families, so we get people that live in the neighborhood, in the building. Yes. Another thing that is concerning to me is that the bill is going to change the landscape of the area. 1 family, 2 family houses, so maybe all the bills are going to come. So I don't know, parking is included. I got here a little late. How many parking spaces you have, if any, because that's also going to create another issue. And then more buildings are going to come, and then it's going to be in a standard because there is already a building or a property or development that don't have parking in the area.
Those are great comments, and we'll be very happy to work with the councilman to see if we can identify local people. I'm not sure how that works. That's usually after I hand over the building. As the architect, I don't get involved in those things.
We'll be happy to work with the community, absolutely.
So Jersey City has encouraged us not to have parking. So originally we had a parking lot in the building. Jersey City encouraged us not to have parking. And here's the mentality behind it. If you provide parking, people are going to have cars, and it's going to increase traffic. So they wanted less parking.
They want to have parking regardless whether you have parking or not.
So you're not out of the hot seat just yet. We have some Zoom questions.
Sure.
You want to bring the laptop over? Yes. You have to come up.
Okay, only because Zoom has been waiting very, very patiently. I'm gonna give it to Ceci De Leon. Can you unmute? I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Here, I have to control it from that computer.
All right. So just give us a second so that we can get the questions on Zoom answered. You're unmuting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. 1 second. Let me find the speaker so that I can give you the opportunity. 1 second. Speak up for me.
Okay, can you hear me? Does it work okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So I was just looking through the drawings and I had a question. Can I start?
1 second. We're trying to make sure that he can hear you.
Let's go from there.
Just let her ask the question, then we'll repeat it.
All right, can you ask the question, Ceci?
Sure. On drawing R1, on the first drawing, the first page of the drawing set, I believe he might be referring to city planning just adopted a new R1 zone. I think he's referencing the old R1. They adopted a new ordinance. So that's one thing. So his variances might change. I don't know what that is within there. So that's the first question.
So your question is, the city just adopted the new R1 zoning laws that increases density. Her question is, do your plans, are your plans according to the new R1 zoning laws or the previous R1 zoning laws?
So the new laws are actually going to reduce the number of variances we had, and yes, there are going to be some adjustments that we have to do, but it's in reduction of variances.
Can you speak on those adjustments?
Not any further right now. I need to study it more.
Okay. And Ceci, your second question?
Well, I have more than two. The first drawing also says there's 15 units. You said there were 14, but counting the number of units on your plans, it looks like 17 to me. If you look at the second and third
So
floor.
there have been many iterations of these plans. The final version is 14. So it's 14 units that we're going to be going before the board on. And if you go through the plans, there are some typos and a few things that we need to correct. Like there's one place where it says 15, but everywhere else it says 14. And the board's going to have those final plans, and we'll be happy to share the final plans with you.
So it's underneath.
So these drawings.
Thank you, Ceci. Did you have any other questions?
I do. So these drawings don't reflect exactly what's going for it. There's updates to be made. Right?
There will be an update.
Okay. Another question I think would be helpful for the community is to see some sort of the building in relationship to the other buildings around it, whether it be a street view, elevation, a block plan, or something like that, to get an idea of scale to what this is. What this is compared to the single family buildings around it, essentially, right? So to get an idea.
That's a great idea. I'll be providing that. And just for reference, we're a little bit over 30 feet tall, so it's 3 stories. So it very much is in line with the single family and 2 family residences in the block.
Yeah, a graphic would help, just to see that. So you could see. And there's no parking, you said, right? So that the zoning chart there. Okay. Okay, that was basically.
Erica, any other questions?
Chris, I think Chris Perez.
Chris Perez.
Yeah, Chris, can you unmute yourself, Chris? There you go. Chris, what's your question, Chris?
Hey, good evening, everybody. I had the similar concern because the R1 was modified in the middle of November of last year. And if it's only going to be a 3-story building, have you considered exercising the option of using the affordable housing overlay? You would still have to comply with the setbacks and the height, but it would allow you to have more density, and it would commit you to 10% affordable housing. So if this is 14 units, I'm guessing 1.4, I guess it rounds down. But that might be another way to look at this. I just wanted to know if you're aware of the affordable housing overlay, and have you thought about doing it that way?
We are, and we've placed a lot of thought into that. And our biggest concern is that we wanted to make a building that fit into the neighborhood. If we increase the density, that would mean a larger building, and we just didn't think that was appropriate. But if we'd love to hear the feedback from the community, if you think it is appropriate, we'll go with more density, and we'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I didn't mean increase it more than what you're considering.
Wait, he's still asking.
Would you say, Chris?
I didn't mean to increase it more than what you're proposing. I meant that it would allow you to have more units than what you can have in the R1. Currently, with your lot size, I think you could probably have about 7 or 8. The affordable housing overlay would probably accommodate your 14 units, but you'd still have to comply with the front, rear yard, side yard, and height requirements. So, cool.
Understood.
Thank you.
And Ms. Patterson, I believe that's Patterson, the last question on Zoom. Can you unmute yourself, please? There you go.
Okay, my question is about the parking. Maybe I missed it because something was wrong with my phone. How many parking spots do they have per apartment?
We have no parking proposed. Our original proposal had a parking lot. Jersey City Planning requested that we remove that. So we have no parking right now.
No parking.
No parking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else you see, Councilman?
No, there's no one else on Zoom. We do have one more from the Block Association around there. So we'll allow her to ask her question.
We already have like 8 buildings already on that block. We struggling now with parking. Only 2 buildings around here provide parking and it's underground. Everybody else not. We have issues with neighbors, got 2 and 3 cars. They moving from other states, countries, everything. So we have like 6 up the street and like 3 down the street. There's no more room for a building. Wait, no parking. It's crowded around here. There's a lot of kids. There's no room for nothing. It's none.
Here, do it for me.
We want parking too. We do. We wish we could provide parking in the building.
No, so just well, planning because of the master plan that for the life of me, I don't know why they did anything during COVID, especially a master plan nonetheless, which going to change the trajectory of development for the next 10 years. But just to be clear, planning requests, they're not mandating, they suggested that you don't include parking. So I think that's something, given this area, that we may need to revisit. I don't know if you're familiar with the area. It's literally like a science project trying to park around. In fact, I don't even try. When I come around here, I park on Ocean and I'll just walk up because I know that there's not going to be any parking around there. And that's pretty much has been the major concern with the area, because it's just no parking. There's no other way to cut it. There's no way to sugarcoat it or anything. There's just no parking. So that is something I will work with you and your client on, if we can adjust that. But in their defense, I will say that they have been in constant contact with my office. We spoke about the importances of development, using local contractors. In fact, do you have a son?
Tiffany's son?
No, the developer. Where is he? He's not here today?
Yes, right here.
I thought it was a younger guy. That was him? Oh, he aged. Okay. Okay, so that was him. So they have been in constant contact with different iterations of the project, working, trying to get the community feedback. So they have been willing to work and compromise with the community. So I will give them that. So we will continue to be in contact with you guys. You guys don't have a plan a date yet. So we'll be in contact just to make sure, that it fits, because the master plan is one thing, and the thing that really irks me with the master plan outside of it being done in COVID is that you just can't take for granted that what's good in another area fits this area. It's just not a reasonable way of assessing things. So again, we'll continue to work with you. We appreciate you for coming here, sharing the project. Oh, we got 2 more questions?
Rebecca, you have one on Zoom.
You're good. So I know that there's a city ordinance regarding lots wider than 50 feet requiring 0.3 parking spaces per bedroom. So by that rationale, especially with as many two-bedroom units as there are in here, there would need to be some sort of parking provided.
Well, you guys, I think what they're doing to get around that is they're converting the lots, right? Yeah, so once.
One across the street.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so, but then that would mean at least then the empty lot across the street wouldn't then be developed into another building.
A lot across the street has nothing to do.
No,
Okay.
what I'm saying is they're converting the 3 parcels. It's actually 3 separate lots, right? Yeah, it's actually 3 separate
Right,
lots.
but then
75 wide. so
It's 75 wide, so therefore it would need some parking according to that.
We'd be
Okay.
happy to provide parking, and we'll work with the
Great.
community, and we'll work with
Who's the
Jersey
question
City.
from?
We have one more, hold on, you
Yeah, I have
finished,
one more.
Rebecca?
No.
Hold on, Rebecca. Rebecca have the most questions.
It's from Ceci. This is a Ceci and Rebecca joint question situation. So, I think just the other really main thing that I just want to make sure that we convey is that we would want to have the developer and the presentation come back with more updated drawings, with a better view of how this relates to the other housing and other stock in the neighborhood, more visuals. If there's a way to do color, if there's a way to present it in advance of the meeting so that people can review everything in advance. All of those types of things, understanding, okay, if there's housing on the first floor, are people able to see into those bedrooms? And what does all of that look like? So that people just have a really solid sense of the impact on the neighborhood for all of this.
Right,
Now
right.
I'm done.
Good.
And we have one more question from Gina Talafaro Gordine. Gina?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, ask your question, young lady.
Okay, I understand they building these buildings. Only thing my concern is parking. It's too many buildings.
And you notice that the word parking echoes. So it's a major concern. So that's what our question is. They addressed that. Again, we're going to continue to work with the developers, the attorneys, the entire team, just making sure this project is extremely inclusive. So with that being said, we do want to thank you for coming out and thank you for presenting.
Too much.
Now, you have another question? You got an answer? Yes.
What we don't understand about development in this city, and I'm glad he brought this to your attention. I did 2 buildings on MLK. One called the Red Building on Oak and MLK. There's no parking, it's 40 units. I wanted to do parking there years ago when I built it, but the city told me no. Because it's on a drive, a bus line, and when buildings are on bus lines, people are not using cars. I did the building down on Wakeman and Bidwell, another 40-unit building. But me and the developer, when I did that with my partner, we put some parking in there. And the parking, people was not, in these affordable buildings, are really not having the cars that we have in high end. And when they live in bus lines, they're not buying cars. You go down there and you look in that parking lot, you don't hardly see no cars parked in. We got about 20 parking spaces. And what happened with him, by him being near the corner, and it's not him, it's not the developers, it's the city. We have to go to City Hall, council meetings like when he's there and back him up. We want more parking. We gotta make ourselves seen and heard. We can't blame it on him or the developer. It's planning board and all the above, and it's not even our councilman. It's them people in planning board and all that and redevelopment. Thank you, Councilman.
Yes. So with that being said, briefly, we're going to, let's, before we get into public safety, I do have an update for the Bayview
New communities, Van Oshred,
Bayview Ocean tenants. And also, we're going to have some handouts from landlord tenant. The young lady was supposed to come today, but I guess they said something about bereavement. No, she's not on maternity leave. No, I think it's well, well, she didn't, she wasn't able to come. But we do want to make sure we hand that handout as it relates to landlord tenant, what your landlord can and can't do to you. We've been fielding a lot of questions. No, it's, hold on, it's two separate things. Landlord tenant was going to come from the city. I have an update for Ocean Bayview. It's two separate issues, but it's all landlord tenant related. Yes. So again, the young lady, she couldn't come. She had an issue. They were kind enough to give us these handouts. We've been fielding a lot of calls as it relates to landlords, trying to force people out, landlords not fixing properties, trying to, again, force people out and things of that nature. So we wanted to make sure we armed you with as much information as possible. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns as it relates to the immediate harassment or anything like that, please reach out to me like you've been doing. Now, so, and also, so with regards to you, with regards to Bayview Ocean Properties, we did meet with the landlord. He did assure me that he was going to draft something up, send it to me first before he sent it to you guys. But I did urge him, and he did assure me that no one is going to be forced out. And I've also told him, because eventually he's going to look to develop the property. So I did urge him to, if he's going to do it in phases. And when the first phase is done, the individuals that's already there have first right of refusal, whether they want to move in that establishment or not. Now, what we do need to do is we're going to need one of you guys to act as a liaison to communicate. So when I get that correspondence, if I can send it to one of you to send to the group, is that possible? Yes, not everyone speak at once. Okay. So yeah, so just in the immediate future, no one's being forced to move. We've asked that they do not contact anyone outside of regular work hours, and we've asked that all communication be via email so we all can be privy to that dialogue. Now, without further ado, because we have about a half hour left, I know people have always called in with public safety issues. I don't see Ms. Smith and I know they had an incident recently with someone was vandalizing cars or breaking in cars on Myrtle, between Myrtle and right here, Wilkerson on Randolph. So this is the West District Captain.
Hello. I'm the West Captain, Joseph Olszewski. I'm going to give you the boundaries on the West District, and I'll take anybody's complaints on any district because I'm here representing the South tonight and the East. So my district is going to be Sip Avenue, South Side. South Side on Sip Avenue, all the way down to 440, all the way down to the Hudson Mall, come back around up Claremont, down Virginia. We're going to go with the north sides of the tracks where the McDonald's is on MLK, that's the south. And then we're going to come up on Garfield Avenue on the opposite side of Berry Lane Park. That's all the west. If you need to get in touch with us, I'm going to give you our Facebook page. It's very simple. Jersey City Police West District. We didn't try to confuse anybody with this. We made it simple. Our Instagram page is even simpler. It's all one word. JCPD West District. If you have any complaints, concerns about the West District, my community relations officer, Anton, she will get back to you, usually within 24 hours. Sometimes she'll get back to you in an hour. I'm just going to go over a few things, and then I'll take all the questions. Summertime is coming. Last year, we had a problem with these quads driving around, these dirt bikes. As the weather gets warmer, they're going to be back out again. Last year, we took about 130 of them. We'll be starting back up again, looking to take more, because they're gonna start coming. We've seen a couple over the weekend. We're trying to keep the guys from Newark out, because they were the biggest problem. We can deal with our own problems here, makes it a lot easier. What you also need to know, for anybody else, this is kind of important. With restraining orders, they used to be based on basically dating relationships, where you lived, if you lived with the person, dorms, college dorms, or if you lived in like a halfway house or something, you had to share a common bathroom. They finally got smart, the state, and they came up with a new type of restraining order that affects more people. First one is, you don't want to have this one, that's a sexual assault. If you're a victim of sexual assault, and in all these circumstances, we got to know who the person is. You can get a restraining order. The other one is sexual contact. And why this was big, we had a guy running around the whole city, and he just like grabbing women in the ass. He would just go pinch it and run away. So now he did it to about 12 women from the south, the west, the east, and the north. So if this would have been out then, he would have been banned from every place. So we could have possibly banned them from the whole city. Lewdness. And what do I mean by lewdness? We have that guy, he has a few drinks, and he starts taking his pants down in the street. And he used to get a ticket or get arrested, he'd be back out the next day. Well, now with this, anybody who's on that block and file a complaint, he can't come back to your block. He gets arrested just for being there. Okay, I guess you have an issue. It's like the guy who likes to drop his pants in the street and play with himself, we're just going to say. Now, it used to be he would just get arrested, and he'd be back on the street the next day doing the same thing. With the restraining order, however, it's a little different than the regular restrainer, where it used to be we would take you up to the county, we'd sit with the domestic violence, you do the report, you go up, you tell them you want this VESPA. Don't ask me what it stands for. It's one of the few laws. They didn't give us like a definition. They just said VESPA. And you base it under the lewdness. They'll give it to you. They'll give his name. He gets served like a regular restraining order. And then we tell him, you can't be on this block here, this 500 feet from here or 1,000 feet, whatever it is. If you do, we just come and arrest you. Even if you're just hanging out with your friends and your pants are on that night, you're still getting arrested. Also, stalking. Not the dating type of stalking. You see that person who just has to follow you home, it's the female. He hits on you. You don't want to be hit on. He hits on you. You see him every day. We get his name. He gets it. And the best one, cyber harassment. So now you're working with somebody and they don't like you. You don't like them, whatever. And now they're sending you emails and harassing you like that. They also get the restraining order. They do it again, they get arrested. So those are the 5 big ones. And it made common sense because all these years it was like people would say, what are we going to do? I'm going to see this person next day. We couldn't do anything. Our hands were tied, but now we can. Okay. Anybody have any questions about any problems? And we'll go by the districts and I'll see where they are. Of course you do. Yes. Are we talking about the drinkers?
Yeah, and just hanging around outside and stuff like that. That is the reason why our block is so dirty and nasty. And we want to try to change that. Like, I don't want to move from my block because y'all feel like, no, I want to try to do something different with the generation. I don't want to just throw the guys away. I want to try to find something different that we can show them that they don't have to be out there continue to mess up the house. What can we do to change that?
Unfortunately, with the older guys, you're not going to do anything. It's the same thing. I actually did Frank saw me on a walk-in post. He goes, what are you doing here? I said, I'm going to walk this one today for 6-7 hours and see how it goes. It's the same thing. 40-year-old men getting there, I don't know, it was like Molson Gold or whatever, all sitting there about 10 feet from the liquor store, 20 feet from the liquor store with their little paper bags drinking. It was like, guys, so we started ticketing them and moving them. We were doing that all day. They just kept on coming back and kept on coming back. That's going to be a little harder. They're set in their ways. They're older. The younger guys, they got to get jobs. Maybe they can get city jobs. But I would go back to school. It's getting paid for. If you go to community college, it's paid. I said this before with corrections. If you know anybody that wants to be in corrections, you do not. They're doing a new program with corrections. They're still doing it. Basically, what happens with corrections is it used to be you had to take a test and go to the academy. Well, you don't take the test anymore. What happens, you apply for it. They will pay for you to go to Hudson County Community College. After you complete your 2 years at Hudson County Community College, they have a job for you. they will put you through the academy and you have a career. Mike's not good. Oh, okay, I gotta do one of these. So with corrections, there's a lot of jobs in corrections and they need people. There's a lot of people leaving and they're not replacing them, so there's job openings. Well, here's what happened. The old commander of the West now is the second in command at the Department of Corrections, so me and Eddie are still close. He told me about it, and I said, I'm just gonna use it every meeting. I mean, Corrections probably has it on their website, but I'll tell it at my meetings because let's say you don't look at the Corrections website, but you're here, so I'll tell you. I'm still doing the same thing his site would be doing, but I try to get out as much information, and we'll have it on our website too. That's why I said we try to get out, as we pump out more information in the West than anybody else does in this city. My biggest thing was when kids were young was sports. Have them play a sport. Basketball, baseball, football, and we did hockey up in the Heights. Have them play a sport. It will keep them off the street. It will teach them to build teamwork with other players. They might not like that kid, but if that kid's on their team, they like him for that 2-hour period. And it helps kids when they go on, because there's a lot of kids, like my kid, he played ball. He got a partial scholarship. They didn't want to play anymore after a year, but it keeps kids out of trouble, because if they're playing baseball, plus two, it keeps them off the computer. Because a lot of kids now have no social skills, because all they do is play on the computer and play video games. And it used to be when we were kids, we played them, but you actually had to go to that person's house and go talk to people and go play them. Now they have it hooked up where they can be at their house, you could be at your house, this one, they never see anybody. They just play. They don't even see the person. But I think it's got to start young, when they're younger in the schools. They have to give them more to do, and not, I was always like, push them to do it. Don't leave it up to them, because then they won't. Yes. Well, here's what I know what we deal with. The PAL, it used to be run. I'm a supervisor. There's another union with the cops. The cops union took it over. I'll have it on the website, the hours of operation. I know with the summer, Frank will be able to tell us more. They have jobs for kids. There's recreations, pools. Keep them busy. Keep them off the street. Get them nice and tired when they get home, so they don't want to go back out. That's with the recreation. Talk to Frank more about that.
Let me just answer so the Zoom can hear. And just so the Zoom can hear what Council 8 Lanisha just said, if you are looking for activities for your children, you can see activities that is sponsored by the City of Jersey City and activities that are available for a fee at everythingwardf.com. We do have a tab for youth programs, and that'll bring you to the rec desk. Where you can see all the activities year-round that are available. And there are activities available. And I think this is one of the last years where it'll be like little to no fee, because they are adding fees in future years. But definitely take advantage of these activities, because when we don't sign our children up, they get rid of these programs. And we gave away like $300,000 last year to another department, out from rec to another department because they said people weren't showing up, so we had to get rid of the program. So we definitely need to sign our children up. And if you need more information, we can provide that to you. But everything wardf.com, we have a button for housing, a button for jobs, a button for youth. And soon to come, we'll have more information about landlord-tenant rights, because we know that that is a hot button. And that information is available on our website, but we're going to put more information out there. Do we have any other questions regarding public safety? I didn't think you were done.
All right, come on up. Just the same way you did for the developer guys.
If you allow it to project from the whole room?
Just give them the mic, I guess.
You can. Erica. Here you go, Michelle.
Hi,
Hello,
Captain.
Joe. Just go with Joe.
Captain Joe.
It's a lot easier.
I'm hoping you can help us with this. We've been trying to get an answer for a while. There's a city ordinance that deals with security in large buildings. Who do we speak to about non-enforcement of that ordinance?
Okay. I'll get right back to you. Now, you mean by not having security officers there?
Yes, uniform security.
All right. Okay, that would be housing, but let me, give me,
Captain, no speaking. Speaking to Mike.
oh, we gotta move? All right, well, I'll talk to you afterwards, give you a number, and I'll have my CRO call.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Hi, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Not for everybody in the community, it's not necessarily a positive experience to come in contact with the police, right? And, I think what I've noticed over the years living in this neighborhood is that the response tends to be, and I understand there's concern for the safety of the officers, but response sometimes tends to be overwhelming. So just yesterday I saw 13 officers doing a drunk driving test on one guy. And the intimidation side of that is a concern, right? Especially when we're responding to calls that might involve mental health issues, or even just, emotion starts to run high. And so I'm just curious if there are guidelines for sort of the number of response. Again, understanding that we also have to take safety into account, right? We don't want your officers going out there and being in harm's way as well. They need to have support and backup. But what are your criteria really for dispatching and figuring out what the appropriate number of officers or cars to respond to these incidents are? Because again, I just keep seeing an inordinate number of cops for these smaller, or at least seems to me as a citizen, smaller incidents, and it makes me feel unsafe, frankly.
And I'm gonna have to hold it for you so that our Zoom can hear you. I'm gonna hold this for you.
Where was it? Okay, that's the east, good.
But what is the protocol in your
Here's-
district?
Tell us
Okay.
from your perspective what you would,
It depends on the call.
Of course.
It depends on where the call is.
Yeah.
It depends on what time of the night the call is. So I can't accept.
Totally, you can't speak to that specific.
Unfortunately, with the fact, was this like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night?
No, it was yesterday at like 7:30 p.m. The point being, I see this as a pattern. The point being more, I see this as a pattern, and knowing that we just hired 24, 26 new cadets, and we're spending a lot on training this year. I'm just curious as to why we're starting to see these proportions, where I also know there are other parts of the neighborhoods that are trying to get some more presence there, and they can't. So how can we help cooperate with the police to get a more appropriate distribution of action?
It depends on the calls.
I know it's a loaded question,
I know,
sorry.
it depends on the calls, what the severity of the call is, the area.
Yep.
How many other people are around? Because like there's an incident, I had two of my guys, they saw a guy who was wanted for a gun charge. It's 20 people out there. They're not going by themselves. So 5, 6 other cars came just to grab him.
Yep.
Because we had a crowd control too. It depends on the call. Plus two, see, what you're seeing, you may be seeing, I can't say 100%, but we have these new trainees going out. They have them go to other calls just to observe. So you may see 2 or 6 people at a call and say, why they're there? They're just there to observe, because remember, they were in an academy. An academy's great. You sit in a classroom, you go run around, do some laps, but it's not real dealing with people. It's not real live situation. So like today, like in my district, I had the FTO, what's it called, field training unit. they had the new people, they come around, they were going backup calls, they were doing a lot of some of the stuff like impounding cars and stuff, but they will show up at calls. But it also depends on, like I said, if the cops send me another car, if the dispatcher says we've had problems there before with that address, send another car. It depends on the car. I really can't tell you why with a DWI.
And again, I'm speaking more to, that was a single example of what I'm saying is a pattern of things I've seen. And thank you so much for answering the question. Just know that some of the community is very concerned about this, right? And that, again, many of us have had, whether it's in Jersey City or not, have had adverse interactions with police. And just know that there's fear on both sides, right? And so when we see a large swarm of police in our neighborhood, and they're there for quite some time, and it used to be just for a minor incident, just know that your community sometimes gets uncomfortable with that kind of policing.
See, what happens sometimes, you may think it's a mindset, but it depends on how it's called into. It's like you may say.
Again, I'm speaking of a pattern that I've seen over 10 years of being a resident, living on the streets of where we are right now. I understand you have those perceptions as well. So thank you again for answering the question. I totally respect that each individual incident is going to be completely different.
He's
So
saying
thank
the
you.
factory have problems. That's what he's saying. It's a problem going on at the factory. Things be going on, so they all gonna pull up like that. If that's the type of community it is. He didn't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it for him. The community we live in, they're gonna be deep there. That's what it's gonna be, and that's what it's about. That's it. I live on Oak and Martin Luther King, one call come, about 10 call because we saw high volume around here. That's all it's about. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I have a question to follow up on your announcement about availability of corrections opportunities. I found this Hudson County Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation flyer online, and I don't know if that's the program you're talking about specifically. It's like educational supplements, et cetera.
No. What you need to hire. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'll reach out tomorrow.
Yeah, I have a follow-up from that.
Okay.
So based
I'll
on-
speak as loud as I can.
Oh, sorry.
We want the Zoom.
Wasn't done here.
If you can share that link with us, we can put it on our website. Once you find the
I'll
link,
get it.
because a lot of things it's just hard to find. Like you can Google all day long, but you're gonna get the wrong stuff.
Yes, I feel like I'm on.
I know, yeah.
But yeah, I'll find it for you. Put it. Give me your number. Sam, I gotta speak to you.
Yes,
Right.
give it to us.
And then we'll get it.
My actual question, it sounds like it's a similar program maybe. This flyer said something about a drug test requirement. And so does your program have that drug test requirement? And if so, do you exempt marijuana use or not?
I'm not corrections.
Yeah.
Right now in the state of New Jersey, they do not test for marijuana.
I think a flyer or an announcement could clarify that because I think something in the announcement might scare people away if it just says drug test.
That's, like I said, that's corrections.
Thank you so much.
That's good, that's good. Any other questions? Yes.
You may have answered this before, but there was a little bit of echo on the mic and it was a little hard to hear. You were talking about different programs that were new. I think you said 5 related to temporary restraining orders.
Correct.
And one of them was related to email.
Cyber harassment.
Cyber harassment. What qualifies as cyber harassment?
It's going to be the same thing as regular harassment. Somebody's bothering you. Okay, they send you one email. No, it's not. And it's not going to be like companies sending you emails. It's going to be a person. He's either threatening you. He's either constantly bothering you at all times of the night with emails. Maybe he's at work with you. It's based on person to person, that if the person did not email you and spoke to you directly, but they're using the email, because a lot of people hide behind emails, they'll hide behind stuff because they're cowards. As long as we can find out who it is, sometimes it's easy to find out. Sometimes they tell you on the email who they are, but that would be, if you want to give me like a situation.
Yeah, sure. How about ordinance defined harassment? In other words, we have an ordinance in Jersey City, Ordinance 260, and Section 7 covers specifically harassment. And it deals with violations of rent control, and it deals with 7 different kinds of harassment that come with violations of rent control. We're in a situation where we live in Ward F in a rent controlled building, And our landlord violates 260-7 harassment via email on the regular every day. We have probably hundreds of emails that qualify as harassment according to ordinance. So under this new program, does that qualify as harassment, even though it's defined as harassment?
No, it's gonna be more to the act of a criminal, like a threat. Like if your landlord's calling you and say, you don't pay the rent tomorrow, I'm gonna kill you, yes. But if it's just, it's not, that's more, that's a different type of code. That's gonna be under your housing code. This is more of a safety issue where you're not gonna be threatened. Somebody's, I'm gonna cut your tires when I see you, I don't like you. It's more of an actual physical threat that it comes from the harassment.
I'll follow up to, is this based on an ordinance?
No.
Or what is this based on?
New state law.
State law. How can we get a copy of the state law so we can see how it may apply?
You could just look, it's VASPA, just Google it, and it'll tell you. It's, when it was, they didn't give it an actual name for the letters, it was to replace the, had to do with a Sexual Contact Act. It kind of replaced it, but they added into not just the sexual contact, the sexual assault, they added in the lewdness, which is active sex. They also added in the cyber harassment, and they added the other four.
Follow-up question. Thank you. Follow-up question. At a recent city council meeting, it was said, and I don't know if it's true or not, but that the Jersey City Police Department is the mechanism by which ordinances can be enforced if if there are violations of ordinances. Is that true?
It depends on the ordinance. If it's back to criminal, it goes to Title 39, which is cars, yes. But there are certain ordinances, like we have to call a health inspector in to write the ordinance. Like everybody has their own job. So like the other night, we had to close down a place. We don't hit them with we hit them with certain ordinances that, the music, the loud music, the gambling, we hit them with all the criminal stuff. The city comes in and hits them with the health inspector. The fire department comes in and hits the fire inspections. So we wouldn't write those, each agency writes their own.
What if the ordinance violation is by city officials?
You would have to make a complaint to that department. Like with us, it's internal affairs. If it's the city, I'm just gonna say, let's say the city housing guy, I guess you have to go to his boss and make the complaint.
What if the mayor of Jersey City is not enforcing the ordinance of the city?
We have a lot of questions. The mayor actually doesn't enforce them. It's gonna be the agency that enforces them. Like the mayor does not come out and write you a ticket. It's gonna be the agency that's gonna come out. Because most of them are, a lot of these agency guys, they're certified to write the tickets.
What if it's a mayor, council, Faulkner Act city, and under the Faulkner Act, the mayor is responsible for ordinance enforcement, and he's not?
I don't know what to tell you on that. I can be honest with you. So go see the mayor. I don't know what to tell you on that one.
We got the answer from the mayor. His official answer was, that's rich people problems.
No, that's not your problem.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Captain O, thank you. On behalf of Councilman Gilmore and the Office of Ward F, we thank you for doing your due diligence, coming out, addressing the concerns of the constituents. I'm going to pass it over to Councilman Gilmore for closing remarks.
I just want to take this time again to thank everyone for coming out. This may have been one of our biggest town halls. It was crowded on Zoom. It was crowded in person. And just continue to spread the word about the website. Just by way of closing housekeeping, if you have personal questions that you need to ask that you don't want to ask in a public forum, we have office hours every Thursday. You have to call at least 3 days in advance to be scheduled to come in office hours. With that being said, again, thank everyone for coming out. Travel home safe, get home to your kids, and be great on purpose.
Come to the meetings on Wednesday. Come to the meeting at City Hall on Wednesday. Come out there, like on education again, one can't do it, I can't do it, Chief Staff can't do it. They be out ruining him. Like, that's the reason why we can't get stuff done. We asking them where the 1 million is before us, they ignore it, because they feel like it's not enough of us that's going out the way. So our next thing is outside.
Yes, city council meetings.
City council meetings.
Yeah, the city hall meetings are every other Monday and Wednesday. On Wednesdays, you get, I think, 3 minutes. You could get up there and talk about whatever you want. Also, before we go over the actual caucus, we do the community caucus, where it's a time where my office can sit down with you to go over everything on the entire agenda, how the city spends money and things of that nature. So if you can, please tune in on Saturdays as well. Okay.
Take donuts, take coffee, take it.
And thank you to everybody on Zoom. You guys have a good night. Be sure to subscribe to everythingwordf.com. Good evening.